Hi there, Cole here. It is 11:11, and I wanted to make a special video for the 11:11 portal. I haven't had the opportunity to make the November Oracle blessings as of yet. I might be able to make them tomorrow or Friday, but being busy is a good thing. I wanted to make sure that I could at least make this. It's something I would like to start doing, is doing the Oracle blessings on special days, um, spiritual days. So 11 is actually the master number. It's a special number of coming into self-mastery, and 11:11 is, it can be seen as lots of different things. It's Scorpio season. It's falling on the full moon in Taurus. The Scorpio season is all about passion and intensity and truth. And then Taurasian energy is also pretty passionate and beautiful and yummy and pleasurable. We're also in Mercury retrograde, so there's all kinds of signifiers of this time, but most of all, the 11:11 portal is meant to be a really powerful time of manifestation. It's a day where you should take some time to think about what is no longer serving you that you would like to release with the full moon, but also what you'd like to call in to better master your time in this lifetime. And this self-mastery reward is actually coming into harmony with your twin flame. Your twin flame is basically another person on this planet right now that has a mirroring soul, a twin soul to you. They don't necessarily have the same exact lifestyle or anything like that, but their energy is so powerful that it kind of forces an awakening in your life. So you can think of these people, this person, if you haven't met them already, as someone you might already be preparing for, or you can think of this person as someone who, every time you've come into contact with them, has kind of accelerated your life in some way. There's lots of different opinions about twin flames, and I don't really necessarily think that it matters so much as the idea is that by showing up on your spiritual path and doing the inner work, the universe will reward you. And if one of the bigger priorities in your life is having a harmonious relationship with a significant other, that would be the reward for doing this work. If that's not a big deal in your life, you think of the other things that you're trying to manifest and understanding, and by manifest, goals that you have, dreams that you have, understanding that by doing inner work, you're more likely to come into alignment with those things. Pretty simple, right? And inner work is, showing up for meditation, seeing your triggers and why you have them, noticing your habits and the ones that don't really serve you anymore, why you're clinging to them. Just becoming aware of what it is that you truly, truly want outside of what society has taught you to want, so that you're making choices that are based on your own personal GPS, your heart space, rather than the subconscious conditioning of our early time in life and what has been kind of programmed into our mind by media and by society. So a lot of people think that they want A plus B plus C equals D, but that's only because society teaches us that we're supposed to want that. By doing inner work, we can actually come into alignment with what it is that we truly want. And when we're really, really there, in that alignment, we start to understand what it is that we actually want to feel in this lifetime. And we might actually realize that we'll be happier living a completely different kind of life than we've been living up until now, or just by slight changes in our behavior, in our mental perspective and whatnot. Yeah. And some ways to really help yourself on this journey is, letting yourself be exposed to new people so that you can kind of feel what contrast is coming up in your life. I know for me in my life, people who I've really had a lot of contrast with have been my biggest teachers, without a doubt. And I think a big part of this journey is taking time for self-reflection, and an even bigger part is doing work where you can become more mindful. So mindfulness means a lot of different things, but the primary things that I consider mindfulness is, redirecting thoughts when they go negative into the positive, knowing that we have an option on how we're seeing things, how we're perceiving things, and doing work so that we can watch our thoughts, so that we can be an observer of our reactions to things, and maybe even not react to things, rather than being in the forefront of our existence and just in a reactionary, triggered place. So work to help with that are things like yoga, meditation, and lots of other activities. People run as meditation. People do all kinds of things to help them kind of move out of this purely reactionary place. That being said, you can do yoga in a completely mindless way. You can do meditation in a mindless way. You can do anything mindlessly. We can compete to be a better meditator, but that's not necessarily why we're meditating. If we're actually doing the work in a way where we're becoming free, we realize that no one is our competition at all. We can do yoga to achieve a goal, or we could do yoga to come into the present moment. These are two different ways of doing yoga. One of them isn't necessarily bad, but the other option of, appreciating the present moment and being happy in the present moment is actually going to bring you more into alignment with your higher self, and with the higher realms. So we can use any of the spiritual tools to stay in the 3D, to stay in the competitive thinking mind, to stay in this very habitual place, or we can use them to transcend and be in a place where we're free of all of that. And I believe, at least in my understanding, that the 1111 portal is really helping us move more into that place where we can be more in the present moment, more happy here and now, and understanding that all the goals that we have, whatever it is that we want, whether it be to be with our twin flame or living in a certain place or achieving a certain goal, the bottom line is that we just want to be happy, at peace, at ease, to feel loved, to feel seen, to feel all these good things. And if we can just work on figuring out how to cultivate that in the present moment, we will actually be happy when we receive these blessings. You can think of all the times in your life where you had goals and then you met them and you still were miserable. And that's because in the present moment, you consistently practice being miserable. You might not have done it on purpose. You probably didn't do it on purpose, right? So the 1111 portal is kind of shifting us into this living on purpose mindset so that we can really, truly make the world a little bit more transcendent. The more of us that wake up to this work of living on purpose, of being mindful, of doing things in the present moment, the more the tipping point is going to come into being, and we will be at a place where most of us are living above this threshold and no longer bound by the darker energy that kind of is the base level of our society, right? That competitive, compulsory, needy energy of what can I buy? How can I fill this void? Moving into the energy of I already have everything I need. What can I do with it? How can I play with this? How can I make this? How can I be more helpful? How can I learn more and keep going, rather than how can I prove so and so wrong, or whatever we do when we're in that lower level of thinking. Okay, so I'm just going to pull 3 cards from the Ethereal Visions deck and from the Chakra Oracle deck, just as a blessing for today, something to keep in mind. My background's a little bit different. I'm not in Philadelphia right now. I'm actually in Brooklyn at a friend's house in between sessions. And I just wanted to make sure that I did this today on 11/11 because, why not? I'm actually going to do a house clearing in Ridgewood a little bit later, and then I teach a yin yoga class in Bushwick after that. Okay, so from the Ethereal Visions deck, we got the moon, so it's really kind of, seeing the emotions in your life, the feelings that come up as weather. This is so important. It's one of the most profound lessons I've learned in this lifetime, is that when I'm feeling something, a lot of the times I think it's because of what's happening around me. But what I've been realizing lately in the last few years is that the feeling was already there, and I'm justifying the feeling by what's around me. It's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? That's not always the case, right? Sometimes the environment is impacting the feeling, but I don't even let myself believe that anymore. I'm just like, this is what I'm feeling, and I'm seeing evidence of it. And then I can think of feelings that I've had almost my whole life, right? And they come up sometimes. And I've started to realize that the feeling has always been there, and I just keep recreating things so that I can justify feeling it. But this feeling exists, and so do all the other feelings. I'm just focusing more on that feeling in the moment. Does that make sense? If not, you can't answer me, so it doesn't matter. But the main thing to keep in mind is to see your feelings as the weather, and to not let the environment make you feel a certain way, to not let your circumstances make you feel a certain way, but to do work so that you can not control your feelings, but have a little bit more control over what you're feeling. For me, I lean more to the depressive nature, even though I'm a very pleasant person. But I know that doing handstands really helps bring up my mood. Being physically active helps bring up my mood. Meditation helps focus me and makes me a little less irritable, So I do those things so that I can kind of control where my feelings are going, and then as a result, my environment isn't dictating how I feel. This is so huge, because so many of us think we feel a certain way because of our environment, and once we learn that we actually can control how we feel and our environment doesn't need to impact us, boom, we are so free. Okay? Having this in place is going to actually allow you to welcome in more passion into your life, and to not be thrown off kilter when it comes, So an example is the passion has always been there, and now there's something in your environment that lets you let it out, but you've always had that passion. And we're just looking for the circumstances that let us express it. Well, what if you just feel into your passion on a regular basis and trust that the circumstances will present themselves the more you live on that frequency? Something to think about. And the reward for this is the Lovers. So being able to make a choice for your highest good, to come into alignment, union with your twin flame. The way to do this is to really not give your twin flame, your sacred partner, your career partner, whatever it is, the power to make you think that they have the ability to make you feel a certain way. All they can do is mirror how you're feeling. This is so special, right? And if they're not mirroring how you're feeling in the moment, maybe you're not being as honest with yourself as you think you are, or maybe they're illuminating something. Maybe they're showing you how to be compassionate or whatever it is. But yeah, I think there's a big message here around really working with how you're feeling the emotions, the darker side of yourself, and seeing it as weather and not identifying with it, so that you can move toward your passions, and so that you can have this union that this day represents and is calling in. The moon to me represents any of the water signs, including Scorpio. However, it's technically usually given to Pisces, which I always find confusing. These cards came out before, so I'm going to honor them. Understanding that you being able to really, really pull back when you're having a feeling, and understanding that we're navigating how to feel the way that we want in the present moment, so that we can manifest things that we want in the future and feel a good while we do it. This is a part of our destiny. This is going to put us in alignment with our destiny, our highest purpose, the highest good that we can possibly bring into this world in this lifetime. And a big part of this is accepting ourselves right where we're at, accepting others right where they're at, and seeing everything as a reflection of the moment that you're in and not as finite. Everything that exists now in this moment can shift just based on the slightest little thing in the future. Just the smallest little thing could just completely shift the way you see everything that's in your life right now. But if we can accept right where we are and just like, you know what, I'm feeling a little icky right now. Yep, that's how I'm feeling. How can I not feel this way? It's not by blaming someone else, I promise you. It's by taking yourself out of the situation, working through it, and doing something to shift your energy. And this will bring you more into alignment with your destiny. I'll get one more card out of here. My computer might die, so I have to finish really fast. I went hiking in the mountains this weekend in Poconos, and I'm all sniffly and whatnot now. Wasn't wearing my coat, I don't know. All right, and completion. So I think for letting go, right now it's completing all the negative cycles in your life, the negative energy in your life, and not giving it power over you anymore. Just whatever has held you back in the past, let that be over. Let it go with the full moon. Yeah? And just, taking some time to just maybe write down all the things that you're done doing. What's also really interesting here, it's Veterans Day, and there's definitely an Army person on here. Clearly this wasn't a veteran, but we, thinking of the cycles in your ancestry that you're bringing to an end as well. Those who fought for you to be here, for you to have this destiny, and to accept that you have a right to be happy. People fought. They gave their lives so that you could be in this time where we have all this freedom to explore ourselves, our minds, our ability to transcend all these things that held us back for thousands of years. We have the ability to do all this work on our own, and we don't need to fight for it. It's there. No one even needs to know that we're doing it. So accept that it is your right to be happy, to cultivate the present moment, and to really see your best life unfold in front of you. And the most important step of that is cultivating the present moment, to figure out how to be as happy here and now, even if the environment and the circumstances don't reflect it. Making the best of this moment, I promise you, is the path that you want to be on. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope that 11/11 is a wonderful day for you, that you set some intentions of what you're calling in, what you're letting go, and you let yourself feel what it is that you truly want to feel. Practice feeling it. Just see what it's like. Okay? Tell me about it if you like. Otherwise, have a wonderful day, and hopefully you hear from me in the coming days with your November Oracle blessing. Namaste.